is Glenn Wilson. I'm a security consultant, currently working with a major bank, and I'm trying to educate people on the importance of keeping up to date with new technologies, and particularly cloud, container, orchestration tools, and how we keep those secure. These are new tools that are being used in the DevSecOps or DevOps environments. It's putting the security into the DevOps part of that and making sure that we're using these new technologies in the safest way possible. Are we really secure on this way of working? And what happens if we do find a vulnerability? Well, when we do find a vulnerability, the designer goes mad. You know, we can't fix it quickly. It's very difficult to fix. We have these technologies, they're all sitting there in the cloud. But the question is, how do we keep this stuff secure? It doesn't follow the old method, does it? It doesn't have the same way that we secured things in the past. It's a different challenge to us. And that's what I really wanted to talk to you about today, is my experience of how I've actually moved into a team that is moving towards Docker and Kubernetes, Istio in the cloud, and what I've had to do to try and get up to speed as quickly as possible to help these teams, to keep them secure, because these teams are moving fast, they're moving rapidly, they're moving quicker than what security is going, or the security teams are going, which is a real challenge to cybersecurity. And in the DevOps world as well, it's all about fast delivery. It's all about fast fixing, failing fast and recover. But of course, if you fail fast in a security world, that can have horrendous effects on you, your reputation and your business. So my recommendation is go and learn this stuff. So where do you go to learn this stuff? Well, the obvious place is I go to the websites of the three main cloud providers, because actually they're very good at documenting what they do. Amazon, Google, and Microsoft have some really good resources, some lots of white papers. Once you've understood the technologies, you now need to start thinking about the security of these technologies. The Cei Benchmarks is a really good resource. They're not standards, they're guidelines. And basically, it's a community effort where people come together to put together a series of guidelines for various products and services that are available to us. And there are 5 that are very relevant to the cloud security. Here we have Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, Docker and Kubernetes. Didn't see one for Istio or Linkerd, which is another service mesh, but I'm sure they'll be there one day. So Kubernetes, Docker, and Istio do have the vulnerabilities. So it's very important that you are aware of those vulnerabilities if you're going to put it into production or development environment, that you understand what those vulnerabilities are and you have controls around them. Because if you don't, you could leave yourself open. Putting all this together, I was then able to go forward to my teams and start saying, well, these are the items that we should be careful of and what we need to be checking for. It's quite handy having these documents with me, printing these documents out, actually taking them into the office with me and going through them. However, I mentioned Aqua earlier. Aqua does have its own tool that does some scanning of containers and so forth, and does actually cross-reference some of the Cei benchmarks. So there is some tools out there that automate this process, but there's nothing really better than somebody who has the knowledge and the skills to start to think about how to manage this stuff. And I'll give you an example of some challenges we have is key management. So Kubernetes has its own Kubernetes key management store. And then you've got AWS with its own key management store. But we found that it's actually very difficult to find a solution that really fits the way that we work. And you find that some of these key stores, Kubernetes, for example, will say you should only protect secrets of a certain level of criticality or classification. You shouldn't secure your critical assets with keys that are stored in KMS. So it's very important that you understand where you store these keys, and that's these are the sort of challenges that come up on a day-to-day basis, and that is coming up because of the relative immaturity. I was on a meeting just a week ago with Amazon, who are just about to publish a new key management system because they realised that the one that they have at the moment doesn't quite fit what we're trying to do in a major bank. So speaking of major banks, I really wanted to just dwell on the reason why this is so important. The reason why it's important to go away and find out how security fits into the cloud, into the containers and so forth, is because of what happened at Capital One. It was a misconfiguration of a firewall. Something really simple you could have picked up if you knew what you're looking for. In fact, AWS and Amazon themselves have actually publicly, stated that if you use a misconfiguration within your firewall, there is a danger that you could end up exposing information. And of course, there's also a vulnerability in the firewall that they're using. The vulnerability was server-side request forgery vulnerability, which is in one of the OWASP top 10s, which is again reason why you should not just look at OWASP top 10, but look outside the box as well and see how many other OWASP vulnerabilities are out there. If you're a developer, you must understand the technologies you're using. Yeah, you are part of the solution as well as part of the problem. If you're a security person, you also need to understand how all this fits together, because it's moving in a different way that you're used to. And if you're an operations person as well, again, it's not like the old networks. There is some commonality with the old network structure, but actually it's new as well. So you need to learn this stuff. You need to understand this stuff. And I'll give you loads of resources. And as I said, I have produced a white paper, which I will make available at the end of the day. It's got a lot more information in there. It's a great way of interacting with people, and I love that. It's a great atmosphere, and I would encourage anyone to come along to one of these and just see that it's a community event, not just a speaker and a group of people listening. It's me presenting an idea, and then let's talk about it and get some feedback, and that's how we thrive as a community, and it's doing good.